My story about a strange event that happened to me a few years ago. I've always loved animals. Ever since I could walk, I would run through the forest near our house, watching squirrels, birds, and sometimes even foxes. My passion for nature became my calling, and after graduating from university, I became a biologist. My dream job took me to the deep forests of Siberia, where I studied the behavior of wild animals. I lived in a small cabin surrounded by dense woods. In the summer, it was beautiful here, but in winter, the forest became a true test of endurance. These woods held many secrets and mysteries. The local villagers told me stories of strange creatures living deep in the forest, but I always dismissed them as superstitions. They warned me not to venture deep into the forest, especially at night. As a scientist, I tried not to succumb to such fears, but I still listened to their words, avoiding unnecessary risks. One evening in mid-November, when the ground was already covered with a thick layer of snow, I noticed something strange. While I was sitting by the window drinking tea, I saw glowing eyes among the trees. These were not the usual animal eyes I had seen before. They were large, glowing red, and motionless, as if someone or something was watching me. I couldn't look away, and it felt like time had frozen. The next day, I decided to investigate the area. As I got closer, I noticed tracks in the snow. They didn't belong to any animal I knew. These were enormous paws, leaving deep imprints. I felt uneasy, but curiosity got the better of me. The tracks led deep into the forest, to a place I had never dared to go before. I took my rifle and flashlight and followed the tracks. The further I went, the denser the forest became. Silence enveloped me, broken only by the crunch of snow under my boots. Suddenly, I heard a strange sound, like someone or something was following me. I stopped and turned around, but saw nothing. Only frost-covered trees surrounded me on all sides. I continued walking, but the uneasy feeling wouldn't leave. I felt eyes on me, though there was no one around. Deep in the forest, I found a small clearing. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the birds were silent. I looked around and saw that the tracks abruptly stopped, as if whatever I was following had simply vanished into thin air. It was inexplicable and sent chills down my spine. I stood there for several minutes, trying to decide what to do next, but found no answers. Eventually, I decided to return to my cabin, though the feeling that I had missed something lingered. Over the next few days, I noticed that my things started to disappear. First, small items like my compass, flashlight, and knife. Then food began to vanish. I didn't know what to think. Was it bears? Wolves? But they couldn't have entered the cabin so quietly and precisely. I began checking the doors and windows before going to bed, but it didn't help. Every morning, something else was missing. At night, I started hearing strange sounds around the cabin, rustling, footsteps, quiet hoots. It seemed as if the forest came alive at night. My dreams became restless, often waking me from nightmares where those glowing eyes chased me. I tried to find a logical explanation for everything that was happening, but it was futile. One night, I awoke to a noise. Someone was walking through the house. I grabbed my rifle and quietly went to the living room. There, I saw it. It was a creature that defied description. It was enormous, larger than a bear, with thick black fur and glowing red eyes. It stood on two legs, and I realized that this was something not of our world. The creature fixed its gaze on me and let out a long, eerie howl. My heart stopped, and cold sweat trickled down my spine. I fired. The bullet seemed to pass right through it, causing no harm. The creature slowly turned and walked into the forest, leaving me in complete shock. I stood there, paralyzed, unable to believe my eyes. As soon as it disappeared, I felt a wave of relief, but the fear remained. In the morning, I decided to leave. I gathered my belongings and headed to the nearest village. The locals told me an old legend about a forest spirit that guards its domain. They said this spirit could take the form of any animal and only appears to those who disturb its peace. They warned me that it was better not to return to those places. Since then, I have never gone back to those woods. But sometimes, on quiet nights, I feel as though I see those glowing eyes in the darkness once more. I no longer explore remote corners of forests alone and always heed the warnings of the locals. The forest spirits I once dismissed have become a reality for me, and I have learned to respect their domain.